Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Life. I am Precious Chukudi. We begin with the front pages of the papers this morning, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Naira. Tinubu'll will shock currency spectators, and that's coming from the presidency. The writer says reorganization of bank sector coming from stable, stronger Naira. Targets bringing Naira value to 500 Naira or 600 Naira. Top strategic priority is to push financial inclusion above 95%, and that's coming from CBN. Notes financial inclusion currently stands at 64%. Pay greater attention to debt reduction instead of currency speculators, and that's coming from Ajaero. Benue gang war escalates, 10 killed on motorbikes, tricycles. You can see that on page 6. Can PFN, JNI urge caution as ICC ranks Nigeria among worst persecutors of Christians in 2023. You can read more on page 9. On page 4, Nigeria's situation deplorable but not hopeless, says Can, Anglican primate others. NNPC ITOJV introduces Nembe crude grade to oil market in London. All right, stories above. We have Ajaero NLC TUC declares a nationwide strike November 14 if shut down Imo, stop flights, cuts electricity, fuel supply. I won't hurriedly sign agreements, and that's coming from Wike. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Imo, police labor clash likely, and the stories above of federal government shocker soon for dollar naira speculators. Airline orders to get forex backlog next week. Court strikes out Deputy Governor Ayedatiwa's suit. Senate goes tough on MDA's disrespect for resolution. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with 31 governors shun amendment, financial autonomy for state assemblies. You can read that on page 6. Federal government begins 40% revenue deduction from Nigerian universities. Israel Hamas war, Senate nudges federal government on ceasefire call. You can see that on page 6. NLCTUC threaten nationwide strike November 14. Why coercive legislation may not return children to classrooms. You can read more on the news analysis on page 4. Only 3 states score excellent in ICANN's audit ranking. Lagos Assembly summoned Commissioner VC others over certificate racketeering. And that's how we can take on the Guardian. Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with off-season elections, crisis rock peace meeting, NLC strikes threaten Imo polls. The writer says the traditional rulers flee as parties bicker. Labour plans airports power shut down. IG deploys the new CPs. 3 killed in Kogi as INEC rejects call to remove Imo wreck. Battle for Bayelsa, Jonathan Diri Silva canvass votes. 5 jailed for sharing Oshun ex-speaker's nude video. You can read that on page 8. Certificate racketeering, Lagos Assembly probes Lasso. Israel Hamas, the Senate demands ceasefire. US rejects Gaza occupation. NNPCL unveils new crude grade, ships 1.9 million barrel. You can see that on page 34. Over $700 million remain trapped in Nigeria, and that's coming from foreign airlines. Nigerians lament as Canada suspend Abuja embassy operation. You can see that on page 7, and that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers this morning. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining, still today in the news on Vanguard Life. We begin with this story, and of course, Naira Tinubu will shock currency speculators, and that's coming from the presidency. The presidency yesterday disclosed that President Bola Tinubu's administration is working on policies that will strengthen the Naira. Special advisor to the president on economic matters, Dr. Tokwe Fashwa, disclosed this at the Cowries to Cash lecture and launch in Abuja yesterday. There's been a steady rise in the value of the naira in the past few days, and Fashwa said the trend is expected to continue as a result of policies being implemented by the government. While positing that the fall in the value of the currency of a country was a sign of conquest, he said, when you want to destroy a country, destroy its currency first. He cautioned Nigerians holding foreign currency with the hope that the local currency will continue to fall, meaning that the policy of the government will soon shock them. Fashwa represented Vice President Kashim Shettima at the event said For those who are speculating and praying and wishing that currency will become nonsense, I believe that policies being rolled out by the central bank and the government that I serve, led by the president, will shock some of them. You need to listen to the agenda from the man himself, Tinubu, and you'll see that the level at which he's thinking is far ahead of most of us. You know, he has some great, very great ideas coming up. Some of them are what you've seen reversing the fall in the value of the naira, but he has also challenged us to review forward many of the targets. For example, the idea that Nigeria's economy will get to $1 trillion, he wants to achieve it by 2026. Some people thought the naira will continue to lose value. Of course, we can already see what's going on, and who knows, maybe the naira will strengthen even further to maybe something 500 or 600. I'm beginning to see some of those. We move to our next story, and this one is coming from Wike. It says, I won't hurriedly sign agreement. Now, the Federal Capital Territory FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has expressed his desire to painstakingly follow through all bilateral agreements his administration would enter into with anyone or group. According to him, gone are the days bilateral agreements were not followed to a logical conclusion. Wike, who spoke yesterday when he received in audience the Irish ambassador to Nigeria, Peter Ryan, regretted that several bilateral agreements had ended at the discussion level. He therefore urged the visiting ambassador to take advantage of the vast arable land in the nation's capital territory to strengthen the partnership between both countries. Relationship should be beneficial. I won't be in a hurry to enter into an agreement that ends immediately after discussions. Nigeria has strong ties with the Republic of Ireland, and so we would like to leverage on that, especially in the areas of agriculture which Ireland is also known for. Earlier, Ryan said his country was willing to partner with the FCT administration, especially in the areas of education, agriculture, and information and communication technology (ICT). He said the Republic of Ireland had a very large Nigerian population, with many of them making remarkable contributions to the economy of Ireland, especially in the areas of sports and ICT. Noting that the Republic of Ireland has a lot of partnership with several capitals in the world, said he sees the potential in Abuja and promises to connect the FCTA to the vibrant cultural ecosystem in his country. Right, joining us is our correspondent, Luminous Janamike. He's going to be telling us more on this report. All right, good morning. It's good to have you join us, Mr. Luminous. Can you tell us about the religious bodies warning the International Christian Concern (ICC) as they rank Nigeria among the worst persecutors of Christians in its 2023 report?
Okay, the ICC is a global Christian body that tends to assess the level of persecution of Christians across the world. What they basically do is that they go through media reports of attacks on Christians and also complaints by churches and church organizations, faith-based organizations, about the kind of issues happening to them. So it is from these reports, these global reports, that the ICC came out with their own ranking. So they didn't, for obvious reasons, they were sensitive enough not to say Nigeria number one, India number two. They just said top 10, the worst ranked countries where Christians are persecuted in 2023. So the result came out, the report came out recently, and unfortunately, Nigeria, Algeria, Eritrea are the only African countries where Christians appear to be persecuted that much.
All right, tell us more about the reactions from the religious bodies.
Okay, various religious bodies have been reacting to that report. Of course, Christian Association of Nigeria is the umbrella Christian body, the apex Christian body in Nigeria. So CAN reacted, but CAN, while describing the situation Christians face in Nigeria as very, very unfortunate, CAN also cautioned religious leaders against indiscriminate visits to government officials, whether you are invited or not. You just saunter into the office of the minister and say, yes, I'm a pastor and bishop, and the affiliation that such unnecessary affiliations will divert the focus of these religious leaders from what is actually affecting their members. So CAN is saying that we should be cautious with issues that affect Christians, even though Khan is now outrightly saying it's not true, the report is false, or the report is true. Khan is just acknowledging the fact that there are persecutions, which is very unfortunate, but it is sending a message to religious leaders to focus more on what's happening there, to their members than on being seen taking photographs with ministers or the SGF or the governors. That's for Khan. Then for PFN, Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, is saying that before we say Nigeria is Christians in Nigeria are being persecuted, we need to look at the broader issues, the broader context of this persecution. Is it headers, farmers clash, attacks on headers and then farming communities that you now tag? Probably the farming community is dominated by Christians. You now say, oh, it is attack on Christians. You need to look at the issues. And if you are saying, yes, Christians are being persecuted this much in Nigeria, you should also look at what are poverty, the issue of poverty, the issue of economic hardship. All these things could help to inspire aggressive behavior within faith communities that the foreign media or the foreign groups might tag persecution of Christians. So PFN is just saying that we should be very, very cautious in how we take the report. We shouldn't take it hook, line, and sinker, but we should look at the broader perspectives to the issue. Then as for the Anglican Church, the Anglican primate is saying that, of course, the church is under external attack, meaning attack that are coming from those that are not within the church in Nigeria, but that Christians shouldn't lose hope, that Christians should hold on to their faith and then see how they can transform whatever situation it is that they are facing. But for the Muslims are still saying that that report might just be a way to cause violence, to inspire violence between the Christians and the Muslims in Nigeria. That we should take it with a pinch of salt, and we should be very careful so that we wouldn't do something that will affect the cordial relationship between the two religions or our peaceful coexistence in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. All right, tell us about eminent Christian clerics saying that despite Nigeria's deplorable situation, the country is not redeemable.
Yes. Yesterday, the Anglican Church, the Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion, with over 200 bishops and 5,000 members of this denomination, gathered in Abuja yesterday at the National Christian Center, which was filled to capacity. So it was a large congregation of Anglican faithful, and the camp president was there, and other eminent Christian leaders. And that event yesterday was the Divine Commonwealth Conference. Is about personal development of the congregants, members of Anglican Church, talking about issues that will help them live more prosperous and better life. So the clerics admitted that things are bad in the country. There's no doubt about it. Nigerians are not getting the best they can get from the state, but that Nigerians should have hope. Nigerians should unite in engaging the government. The camp president was specific in saying that while CAN is not a partisan organization, it doesn't belong to any political party, and CAN doesn't want to equally be seen as praising the government or opposing the government, that Christians should rally around on the platform of CAN to engage the government in a civil manner, in a way that will bring about the progress of all. That's what CAN was saying at that event. And the Anglican primate also reeled out a lot of plans the church has for its members, and also harped on the fact that though the country is not what we expect it to be, Christians shouldn't lose hope. Of course, his predecessor in office, talked straight to the president. He said, His Grace, Nicholas Oko, the immediate past Anglican primate, also told the congregation, and he specifically directed his message to the president, that you fought so hard, many battles to become president. Now that the legitimacy of your presidency has been settled by the Supreme Court. Focus on welfare of Nigerians. Prioritize these issues. They are not so difficult. So that's just the summary of what happened yesterday at the Anglican Church Divine Commonwealth Conference. That saw over 200 bishops and 5,000 members of the church, gathered together to talk about development of themselves as individuals, the church, and our nation, Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Luminous Janamike, for that report.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, moving on to Mr. and Mrs. and Mrs. is actually speaking this morning. She says, yes, I know we have a gas cylinder, but what's wrong in buying another one as reserve? If you must know, I bought an extra blender too. What's the problem? And Mr. responds and says, I know a family with this habit. They keep giving birth to twins. I don't know what's wrong with Mr. But I mean, women like to have different gadgets, in the house. One, it makes cooking quite easy. All right, so remember that you can go like, share, subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. Find out up-to-date stories. Go to our website, www.vanguardnj.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.